Welcome back, everybody, to another week of Citizen Sports Talk. My name is Jacob Smith.
Caden Reinhard.
And Caden, we'll start off with you. You went down to Martinsville tonight to watch the Buffaloes play the Bulldogs in their first Three Rivers matchup, or between the Buffaloes and Bulldogs, I should say. Martinsville has gotten a win already in the Three Rivers against the Patrick County Cougars. That's their lone win of the year. They tried to pull off the upset against the 5-0 Buffaloes. Caden, what was your take on the game?
Yeah, it was an exciting 48 minutes of action. Jacob kept both fan bases, I would say, entertained up until that fourth quarter. Starting off, kind of a slow start for both sides. A scoreless first quarter, couple fumbles both sides, a little bit of careless turnovers turned into a Bulldogs lead at halftime. They were up 14-8 right near the end of half. Crucial fumble by the Buffaloes allowed Martinsville to push downfield, get in the end zone with just a few seconds left in the half. Transition into halftime. Head coach Tim Cromer, great halftime speech, I must say. I wasn't there, but it lit something under that Buffalo's offense and defense for the second straight week, scoreless opposition. So, they come out of halftime with a vengeance ready to avenge that first half. I guess you could say first half loss. But then coming out, scoring, I believe it was 17 unanswered to finish the game off, coming out with the 25-14 victory. Sam Phillips had a big 40-yard touchdown to end the game to Max Harris to really seal the victory there in Martinsville.
Yeah, I think kind of bouncing off that, we've seen it a couple times. Obviously, last week, the shutout in the second half against Patrick kind of built some momentum, like a second half shutout again against the Bulldogs this week. And then going back to week one, they kind of had a similar situation, having to play that comeback against Narrows 26-15 and come back and win that one 31-26. But I think this is another test, and something that we talked about before we got started. The Buffaloes didn't have a key contributor to their offense, Jack Leroy. He plays a very pivotal role in that offense, and he hasn't played the last 2 weeks. So when he gets back on the field, that may be a spark that the Buffaloes offense needs to get to that next step, because they've still put up 20 points in the last 2 weeks despite losing a key piece on their offense so far. So definitely excited to see how the game with Carroll County next week is, which we'll be previewing that a little bit later here this week on Citizen Sports Talk. But I believe you got to talk with Sam Phillips and Coach Cromer after the game, if we want to go ahead and roll the footage on that.
Here with quarterback Sam Phillips after the hard-fought victory here in Martinsville. Just quick thoughts after the victory?
We started off slow. They were coming off strong on offense, and we had to learn at halftime, talk it over, and we kept it at 0 points in the second half. That's just really what we want.
Were there any big halftime adjustments made there to combat that Martinsville defense?
We were just struggling with our coverages for sure. We were getting tricked up with them going inside and the wheel, and we just had to fix our coverages, make sure we were staying on our man, and that fixed it. So.
Walk me through that game-sealing touchdown you had to Max Harris there.
Coach Cromer wanted that play. I could see it, and Max just got open. It was a perfect play call. The safety came up, and Max is going in the corner wide open, and I just have to put it somewhere in the area, and Max has got it for the touchdown. So.
And in this 4-game road streak, heading back home now to face the Cavaliers, what do you look to take from this?
We could take a lot. We've been on the road for a while. Going home is going to feel good. We have it coming for this team next week, so they better be prepared. We're just excited to be back home and being able to be in our stands. So we're excited.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Here with Coach Cromer after the hard-fought victory here in Martinsville. What are your thoughts after the victory?
Just super proud of our kids in our program. Second week in a row, we've been able to shut an opponent out in the second half, and we're finding a way to win, and most of all, we're having fun and enjoying each other. So just very proud of our kids and thankful for our coaches.
You mentioned the second half, a little bit of a slow start. What's in that tenacity to really bring this team back there?
Well, I think we just, I don't know. It's in their personality. I don't know that I can put a finger on it, but they just believe and they just keep fighting. And, in the first half, I don't think they were trusting our coverages, but this is the first time we've really been pressed in the passing game like that. And we went into the second half, we just calmed down, and we also turned the ball over 2 times in the first half, which we'd only turned it over 1 time in the first 5 games. So, we just had to overcome some adversity, and I just feel like it's building our character for some games that we may have down the road.
So you're ending a long road streak, picking up 4 victories in all the games, heading back to Floyd to face the Cavaliers. What do you look to bring into that?
Well, right now, I'm very thankful we went 4-0 on the road. That's very difficult to do, I think. And, we're just going to take a deep breath this weekend and get ready for a good Carroll County team. But it'll be nice to be at home because I think our community has enjoyed us winning games, if you will, and maybe they can come watch us this week.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're back after those interviews I had post-game. Going to toss it here to Jacob for some scores around the region.
So we'll start with the Dogwood District first. Chatham lost to Alta Vista 65-6, a little bit of a blowout there. Dan River got their 3rd win of the year, 42-16. Nelson County, who's going to be playing Patrick County next week in a non-district matchup, lost to Gretna 42-7. So then looking at the playoffs, that win pushes Gretna up or keeps them in that 2 seed for the playoff picture. Looking at that, the Glenver Highlanders, they took care of business against James River, just transitioning to the Three Rivers. 42-0 was the final in Buchanan for the Knights and Highlanders matchup. This Minutemen for Liberty got their 2nd win of the year against Rustburg. So they haven't had the best year, but definitely a confidence-building win, their 2nd win. Kind of towards the bottom of the region in standings, but still, like I said, it's always good to get a win. So now that we have more information about scores this week for the region, looking at the playoff picture kind of tentatively right now, Glenver looks like they're the 1 seed, Gretna the 2 seed, and then the Buffalo's the 3 seed. So definitely more and more anticipation building for that Week 11 matchup. Like I said, could be a battle of undefeateds for the final week of the season, and both teams did their part tonight to keep that going 1 more week. So definitely exciting in the football side of things. And then looking at volleyball for Floyd County, they won 2 of their 3 matches this week. They won in their Dig Pink night on Monday night against William Fleming in 3 sets. They lost at Patrick in 3 sets, and that's going to hurt them down the road because looking at the region, they're at the 9 seed or the 9th team in the region right now, so just outside the playoff bracket for regions. But they were able to get a regional and district win on Thursday at Martinsville. So getting a little bit of a Martinsville sweep this week, and JV volleyball, varsity volleyball, middle school football, JV football, and varsity football, which we'll talk a little bit about that middle school football game in just a little bit. But I think we'll talk about golf real quick before we head to break. Caden, if you want to take away on that.
Yeah, just cruising along there with golf. I mean, they had their regional matchup on Monday, and they took it down. Regional champions once again. A couple first team and second team all-region honorees for the Buffaloes. For the first team, it was Jonathan Whitlow, Isaiah Cantrell, and Peyton Mason taking home those honors. And then the second team honors for the Buffaloes, Bryson Harris and Ryder Questenberry. So now the big test for the Buffaloes. They're off Tuesday to Tappahannock, going up to Hobbs Hole for the state tournament. We wish all the Buffaloes luck in that tournament Tuesday.
Yeah, I think we talked about it already a couple times, the success that they've had, especially like you said, third place in the match, tied for 4th place in the match as well, in the regional match. Winning states 3 of the last 4 years, they've kind of lived up to their expectations. Now it's kind of like Tuesdays, get the job done. Just everything that you've done this year just kind of comes down to how Tuesday at States goes. But I think that'll wrap it up here for just a little bit. We'll take a quick break and a word from some of our sports sponsors. You're watching Citizen Sports Talk here on CCTV Channel 20. Alrighty, welcome back to Citizen Sports Talk here on CCTV Channel 20. So jumping right back in, Mr. Moran sent me the details on how our cross-country team went this week, or went in the meet at Salem last Saturday. Girls were 4th out of 19 teams. Boys were 12th out of 23 teams. And 11 of our girls ran their personal best time. 9 of our 14 boys ran their personal best once again. That's from Coach Moran of the cross-country team sending me the little scoop on how cross-country went last week. Trying to think of what else we need to talk about. We kind of missed a football game that we might want to talk about just a little bit before we took break. That was a Patrick County Radford game. You know, Patrick County played the Buffaloes last week. They played the Cavaliers 2 weeks ago, and the Bobcats are kind of in the opposite situation. They play the Cavaliers in 2 weeks and then play the Buffaloes in 3 weeks. So definitely an interesting matchup between like a team we've already seen before and a team we hadn't seen before, but it's upcoming on the schedule for both Carroll and Floyd. Really, the only thing I have to say about the game, obviously Radford won with the final of 16-7, but looking at my notes, it's just Radford really took care of the game in the air. It felt like they had 0 run game. They did an okay job at stopping Patrick County's run game, which, you know, Floyd did a decent job at last week, and Carroll did a good job at it as well. So I think Patrick had the most success. Yes, it didn't result in many points, but just getting down the field. Once Patrick County got in a rhythm late in the second half, it was kind of a little bit too late for them to get the lead with the style of offense they run. I'm sure we're both aware, you know, just running it with that wing tee that they run, not exactly the high-flying offense that can get you down the field when you're trailing. But, yeah, once again, looking at Radford's upcoming schedule, they travel to Glenver next week and then host Carroll County on the 23rd, and then are at Floyd County on Halloween. We'll be there covering that one. Definitely excited to see how that plays out. I feel like watching Radford this week, they feel like a very vulnerable team for Carroll and Floyd to both get a win late in the season, and that'll be a big win for them as well, because Radford's going to have some rider points along with, you know, if you can get that win. So, speaking of winning, middle school football has done a good job at that the last 2 years. With their win against the Bulldogs middle school team on Thursday, middle school football for Floyd County went undefeated 2 years in a row, and I got to talk with head coach Darren Booth briefly after the game before I had to go call the JV game Thursday night, and here's what Coach Booth had to say after the win.
All right, so joining me now, head coach of middle school football for the Floyd County Buffaloes, Darren Booth. Darren, congrats on another undefeated season this year. 2 years in a row. What is it taking this year from the guys that you've had and last year, being able to do it back to back?
Oh man, I mean, what an amazing feeling to go undefeated 2 years in a row. These guys just they come in, they're blue collar kids, they buy into what we're doing, they work hard each and every day. It took us a while to get going this season. I think after the Carroll game, we kind of figured out, what we had offensively and defensively and what we could do. And after that Carroll game, we just got on a roll, and it just kept going to the very end.
Looking back, last year, the undefeated season, what was the expectations for this team this year coming off the undefeated season last year and having a bunch of 8th graders move up to the JV team this year?
Well, that's a great question. Last year's group was an amazing group, very special group. Myself, I didn't even know what the expectations truly would be. other than just show up day in and day out and just try to get better. But I never could have dreamed in a million years we would have went undefeated this year. So, I mean, hats off to the kids.
Any expectations for next year? Undefeated 2 years in a row. Time for a three-peat? Question mark.
Oh man, we're going to do everything we can to go for a three-peat. We'll see what happens, Coach Smith.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
It's been an incredible 2 years for the middle school team for Floyd County. I mean, they're the future of Floyd County football if you really look at it. I mean, some freshmen this year are already contributing. They were the 8th graders that were on that middle school team last year. Kaden, if you'd like to add anything, kind of talking about the middle school football success that we've had the last 2 years and the undefeatedness.
I mean, it's just like you said, it's the future, and if the present isn't bright right now as the 6-0 start, I mean, that future, just building upon it, I think it's only going to get brighter from here.
So I say, if you kind of brought something up that made me like questions like, are we really not happy about a 6-0 start? I mean, obviously the goal at the end of the day is to get a state championship and to go as far as you can in the playoffs. But, you know, a 6-0 start is pretty nice. This is, once again, going back, I know we've mentioned it a lot the last couple weeks. The OA state championship team, they had an undefeated regular season, and the Buffaloes are pushing at that pace, and they only have 4 more games left to go. And once again, highlighting, kind of building up, we're kind of building the anticipation more and more for that Week 11 game that we get to call between the Highlanders and the Buffaloes Week 11. Definitely going to be an exciting one here at Coach Beal Field in the final week of the regular season. But first, for the Buffaloes, they got to take care of Carroll County next week. The Cavaliers on their bye week this week. They're coming off a loss to Glenver last week. And the Buffaloes, obviously, 4 straight road wins, back to back to back to back. So any thoughts before that matchup that we have here next week at Coach Beal Field?
I think the intensity is going to be there, not only for the Buffaloes on the field, but the fans in the stands. I mean, they've been itching. It's been a month. October 17th, it can't come fast enough for these Floyd County fans, I don't think, just because they want to see this team. I mean, we've said it, they're 6-0. It's been 17 years. These fans want it just as much as these players do, I think.
Yeah, I think definitely the fan atmosphere has been building up this year. You know, obviously, when you're winning, you're going to have fans. That's kind of like the industry side of, you know, athletics is like, if you're winning, you're going to get people in the stands, and just, you know, that's going to draw attention. Obviously, we're talking about it a lot right now, so they're getting more attention from it now. So, yeah, I think it's an exciting game. But something else that I mentioned, you know, a couple times last year, you know, Carroll County's head coach Seth Greer was a assistant coach here my junior and senior year of high school when I played back in my playing days. You know, I mean, it's only 2 years ago, so I can't sound like that old or that far gone of a former player for the Buffaloes football program, but as Caden sits here and listens to me like ramble off. But I think what he's done with Carroll County football in the last 2 years, they had a 500 record last year, made it to the playoffs. Obviously, it takes a special person to kind of build a culture year one. You know, we've talked about it some with other schools maybe, but like, you know, when you're rebuilding a program or a roster, like year one is kind of a foundational piece, like culture building. Year two is kind of like, all right, let's focus on winning and building on top of what we were able to establish last year. I think they've done a good job at that, having 4 wins, you know, halfway through the season and 4 more games left to go for them. But I feel like it's going to be a pretty exciting matchup, and I'm sure, you know, Coach Greer's past is going to play a little bit of a factor, a little bit of motivation for both sides. Definitely going to be an exciting one, and it'll be, it'll be fun next Friday. Me and you in the booth calling the game. So I think we'll wrap it up at that, and we'll see you all next Friday when the Buffaloes host the Cavaliers October 17th at 7 p.m. here on CCTV Channel 20. 6-0 versus 4-2. And you won't want to miss Cavaliers and Buffaloes, a Week 7 matchup. I think that will wrap us up for this week's edition of Citizen Sports Talk. My name is Jacob Smith.
Caden Reinhard.
And you're watching Citizen Sports Talk here on CCTV Channel 20. Thank you and have a great rest of your weekend, ladies and gentlemen.